What's the best sexual position for when you have low back pain? In this video, you're going to find out. My name is Dr. Story. I've been a chiropractor for over 23 years, and this is a question that most people want to ask, but people are too embarrassed to ask about. A herniated disc or any type of lower back pain can absolutely destroy your life. And one of the problems with particularly a herniated disc is it can take months and months to rehab and chiropractic care to get back to normal. So the best thing to do, in my personal opinion, is why don't you go on playlists and go to my videos on my channel and learn all the core exercises. In that playlist is where all the exercises are that I give patients to rehab their herniated disc. So step one, if you're suffering from this type of condition, don't worry about the sexual positions, worry about actually getting the back better. But let's say you're having terrible pains in your back, but you want to participate in sex. Well, what do? What are the best positions? In this video, I'm going to go through them for you. So if you're a woman and you're suffering with a herniated disc and terrible back pain, pain that goes down your leg, what you'll find is that certain positions, particularly during sex, are very painful and will actually make your back worse. Now, one of the problems is when you actually have a herniated disc, which you can see right here in this plastic model, the red is where the disc is and it's pinching a nerve. If you were to flex your spine forward like this, very often what happens is your disc in your back will actually be stretched and irritated. And then when it comes back to neutral, the actual nerve gets pinched more and you'll get more and more tingling and burning and aching down into the buttocks and down the leg into the toes. Talk about killing a buzz. So what ends up happening is any type of bending of the spine in that manner will cause more pain. So let's talk about first the missionary position. If you're the woman and you're on the bottom and the man is on the top, what tends to happen is the more you bring your knees closer to your chest, the more you're going to irritate the herniated disc. The typical position where your knees are up about your chest or your legs are behind you type of thing is the absolute worst thing you could do for a herniated disc. So if you are trying to partake in the missionary position, my best advice would be to keep your feet on the actual bed itself and then spread the knees apart and only allow that much hip and knee flexion to occur. Don't bring the knees up to the chest. In addition to that, what you should do is you should get what's called a lumbar roll. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link down below to Amazon where you can purchase something like this. And what you're going to do is you're going to place this right above your belt line. So what this does is it actually prevents your spine from flexing forward. So if you can imagine here, this is a herniated disc right here. What you would do is you would place the pillow right there in your lumbar spine. That would force the spine to have some of its natural curve back, and as long as you don't bring your knees up to your chest in the sexual position, then you're unlikely to have any exacerbation of your pain. So get yourself a lumbar roll. Again, I did the research for you. I put the link down below. You can go ahead and get that on Amazon. Now, that's the missionary position. Another position that you can try if you have a herniated disc that is actually very comfortable for women is to do the doggy style position. So what you do is you'd be on your hands and knees, or you would be on your knees and then just rest your body and your hands like this on the bed or the surface. And what this does, it allows your spine to, again, maintain that lordosis like this. So the man would be entering through here and you would maintain a nice curve. That would not allow your spine to hurt. Now, this is very similar to a yoga posture called the Cat Camel. So if you can imagine, the cat is where you come up and round your spine. You don't want to be in that position. You would actually be in the opposite position where you'd be arching your back and your belly would be going towards the bed. In that position, you're not going to be having an exacerbation of your pain. In fact, in that position very often for a lot of patients, when we show this in the office as a Cat Camel exercise, they find that the numbness in their leg goes away. And again, then you can enjoy sex much better when there's not numbness going down your legs. The last position would be where the woman is on top. They call it a cowgirl or reverse cowgirl. And this is a problematic position for a lot of people that have herniated discs. And the reason why is because most of the time the woman is trying to do all the work. And so what you're doing is you're basically grinding and flexing and extending the spine to grind. That's not a good idea. That will actually hurt your back. So if you do want to do that position, quite frankly, it's best for you to allow the man to do all the thrusting and for you to try to keep your back stable in that position. Now, if you're the man, one of the problems is, let's first talk about the missionary position. One of the challenges with the missionary position is not the position itself, but mainly the technique. So most patients that have a herniated disc, one of the things we do in our office is we'll do the McKenzie protocol, where we'll actually have them extend their spine and arch their back. So they would be, think of a plank position with your pelvis still on the ground, or the yoga position called the Sphinx position, where you're doing what's called a lazy push-up, where you're in a position and you're just pushing up like this and arching your back. That position is okay, and very often that position relieves pain with a herniated disc. The problem, however, is when you're having sex, the man usually is trying to thrust in and upwards, and so they're usually using their lower abdominal muscles to thrust when they're having sex. So the challenge with that is what happens is the spine is in this position, and then when the person, this is the pelvis, you can imagine the person is trying to have sex like this. The challenge is when you do that, you're flexing constantly the lumbar spine. That will start to create a tremendous amount of pain in the back, numbness, tingling, burning down the legs. And again, talking about a buzzkill, that's going to stop you right then and there. So the technique in the missionary position would be to, if you're the man on top, you would get into a plank position, use your elbows to prop yourself up. That will allow more lumbar curve of your spine and will take away some of the pain. Then, in terms of technique, instead of thrusting up and down, you want to thrust in by using your hamstrings, which attach right here, and your gluteal muscles, the buttock muscles right here. So in other words, instead of using your lower abdominals to have sex, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be using your hamstrings and your gluteal muscles to have sex. What this does is it protects the lumbar spine and the herniated disc from being irritated, and of course then you can enjoy sex without having that pain. Another position that's beneficial for the man is to do the doggy style position, where the woman is on her hands and knees and you're on your knees. Now again, it's more about technique, but this position where you're actually upright on your knees, you're able to maintain more of a lumbar curve of your spine. Again though, technique wise, rather than trying to thrust up and in and using your lower abdominal muscles, that will actually cause you pain. It's best to use your buttock muscles and to thrust straight forward, such that that will eliminate a lot of the pain during sex. Lastly, the cowgirl or reverse cowgirl position, where the man is on the bottom and the woman is on top. Now this position can be a real trouble for men, because if you're trying to thrust upwards, you're very often going to be using your lower abdominal muscles. So in that type of situation, it's best to have the woman do all the work and let her do the grinding, because otherwise it's going to kill the fun of it, and because you're going to get a tremendous amount of pain. If you can and do want to work at that position, one of the ways to do it is again to do a bridging type of motion, where you're not using your abdominal muscles, but rather you're using your gluteal muscles and your hamstrings to thrust upwards like that. And so if that's the position you want to try, that's the safest way to do that Position. If you thought this video was interesting and informative and helpful, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, you're allowed to ask in the comment section below, and I'd be happy to answer any legitimate questions regarding this. Also, I have a Patreon account, and if you'd be so kind as to contribute to this account, it helps support this channel, and so I can produce good videos that would help you.